Hey, everybody, before the episode, I got to talk to you again about the Uncanny Experience. Now, this is the immersive fan experience that happens in Minneapolis on July 12th and 13th. If you're an X-Men fan, it is an absolute must. So go to uncannyexperience.com now, get your tickets, and I can't wait. Yeah, it was Alpha. I'm like on a sacred quest for Alpha to get some of the Peach Marvel
Yes,
Rivals variant covers for
I
her.
want. I want one too. I've asked my friend Sean to. I've not Sean Gangta, but Sean Beveridge. I asked him to get me a copy if he can. I've asked Dylan to try to. So it's like I really want that Peach Psylocke.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see like if they have a limit on them
Hmm.
because Alpha's like, can you get me 10? And I'm like, I can try. Like if I roll in there and they're like one per customer, then I
Yeah.
can't, but I will definitely try.
I saw that the publisher of it or the whatever the shop variant owner of it said that when the voice of Psylocke from Marvel Rivals wants your comic, you got to deliver. So they know that she wants it. So
Oh, good, good. Maybe that'll help out. Yeah. Other than that, well, I mean, it sucks you're not coming to C2E2. So many people now are all of a sudden like, oh, we're too good for you. We're going to Japan, and it's
uh,
like, you know,
yeah, Japan's a once in a lifetime moment that happens to conflict with C2E2 or whatever timing is very close. But C2E2 will be back next year, and
that
I
is
will definitely be there.
that is true, and you can't argue with that. I mean, you're getting a chance to go to Japan. So, yeah, I feel that. Well, yeah, I definitely want to talk about Uncanny Experience personally. Folks listening, this is an unpaid solicitation, by the way. Like I've talked about enough on the pod. Like I can't stress enough how much I absolutely love it. It's by far my favorite con, even though I hate calling it a con because it doesn't
Yeah.
feel like a con. But yeah, I kind of like want to roll it back to the beginning as to like what the genesis of Uncanny Experience was.
Sure, yeah. I mean, basically, I co-founded this event with Dylan Carter and Chris Riley, and we were brainstorming about why there were fan conventions for Power Rangers, He-Man, there's Buffy, there's like fan conventions for everything. Xena, there's a XenaCon. I'm like, where's the X-Men, you know, fan con? And remarkably, there's no Marvel property at all. Like there's no Spider-Man con, there's no Batman con. It's crazy. I'm just throwing golden eggs out to everybody. But anyways, X-Men is a very specific community, and it was one of those things where like we want to create something that is for X-Men fans. Originally, we were going to just do what you would traditionally do at a hotel conference room kind of vibe, where it's just a con, like what that we're used to going to. But then in our search for venues, we came across this space, the Minneapolis Club, where we host our event, and it just like looked like Xavier's Mansion. And I was like, guys, what if we don't do a con? What if we do this immersive experience where it's like we make it the mansion, but it's also a con? And so year one was really tricky because I don't think what we do had ever existed before. So it's really hard to explain what people are getting into, and it still is hard to explain because it doesn't exist in my experience, it doesn't exist anywhere else.
Yeah, I I sort of felt that way. Showing up to the first one, you weren't entirely sure what to expect because what is an immersive experience? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, dude, like the Minneapolis Club could not be more perfect for that. I mean, the vibe, the feel. Like I've said this to several people that ever since the first Uncanny Experience, every time I see the Minneapolis Club, it's the first building that I've ever known in my life that I want to go give the building a hug. Like just because there's so many like great memories in there. And yeah, the aesthetic to it is just absolutely off the charts. Yeah, first year was great. Second year was great. Third year I'm anticipating is going to be great. What is it that you got going for the third year here?
Well, so we're in July this year instead of September. This is due to the venue wanting to shift us out of September due to it being a popular wedding month. So we may be in July in the near future. We may not be. We're working on the 2026 dates. But as far as 2025, we'll be celebrating the 25th anniversary of X-Men Evolution. We have voice talent, Rogue and Kitty Pryde from the show. We've got the show director and animation character designer, Stephen E. Gordon. And it'll be a fun little pocket universe of X-Men Evolution. It is not the cartoon that I grew up in, but anybody like 5 years younger than me or more, really loves X-Men Evolution. And so we don't want to, deny the people the chance to celebrate that part of the X-Men fandom. And frankly, they don't really get a lot of attention. So we're really excited to invite Maggie and Megan. Steven does a lot of cons. You'll see him at cons all the time, but Maggie and Megan rarely make appearances. They haven't, really done this. And so this is their first time appearing together, especially Megan's first con ever, the voice of Rogue, Megan Black. So we're really excited about that. And then in addition, we have Gail Simone coming back to headline our weekend. She'll be our Claremont of the weekend, so to speak. So she'll be leading our graduation ceremony and all that. Other comic talent, we have Ashley Allen and Benjamin Percy. And then we've got a whole slew of X-Men, the animated series folks. We've got the creatives, the Leewalds, Larry Houston, and the voice of Jean Grey, Catherine Disher.
Oh, cool. Catherine's going to be there. Yes, that is phenomenal. That's one of the things that always strikes me as phenomenal about the X-Men and the X-Men community is the X-Men have been around for so long that there is X-Men fandom, and then within that there's pockets of X-Men
Hmm.
fandom. Like you have just your comic people, you have your original animated series people, you have your evolution people over here, and yet it's not like there's no internal struggle against those groups. We all
Yeah.
love each other. I'm there with you. Like X-Men Evolution, I think that came out like, oh God, I want to say like the year after I graduated from high school. So I was a young man who didn't even have cable. So I didn't
Correct.
even.
And that's why I didn't watch it. It was on cable and I didn't have cable. I had graduated high school when it came out. And so I was, going off to college. I didn't Obviously we did not have cable in our dorm. And then when I moved on, I couldn't afford cable. So it's like it was just the show that missed it. I just missed it by the era that I lived in. And of course, I cannot believe I forgot our movie guest, Tyler Mane, Sabretooth from X-Men and Deadpool and Wolverine, because you were bringing up all the different factions of X-Men fans. And of course, comics, cartoons, and movies. The movies, of course, being huge hits for folks, especially those early era films. And what's crazy is that it's also the 25th anniversary of the X-Men film because it came out in 2000, just like X-Men Evolution.
Yeah, God, has it been 25 years since that
I
movie
know
came out?
it
Oh my
has.
God. I'm gonna check my like AARP membership. That is, yeah. And those, and I honestly think, especially like the first X-Men movie, I feel like that one doesn't get enough credit because that one predated the Spider-Man movie that for some reason a lot of people
Hmm.
consider like the start of like the current era. And I sort of feel like if the first X-Men movie isn't good and isn't a financial success, that like changes the whole trajectory of where everything went after that. And I love Tyler Mane. Like, absolutely no shade whatsoever to Lee Schreiber. He just played a different version of Sabretooth. But as somebody, I think you and I have that in common, grew up massive Wolverine fans.
Hmm.
Like, and when you knew Sabretooth was going to be in this movie, and he showed up all growly and maney, if you will, it was phenomenal. That's going to be really cool to like meet him in person. That's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely.
What here's the question. I love asking people this. Where did your X-Men love begin? Like where'd your lore begin?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely gonna give X-Men the animated series the credit because, it came out at a very influential time. But I had been introduced to the X-Men through comics, through I think just, gas station comic spinner rack kind of things. So I was getting comics when I was a kid. Whenever my family would go on road trips up north in Minnesota, you go to these cabins and stuff up north, and so as we stopped they would get me a comic book to read in the car or whatnot. And yeah, I remember being introduced to the X-Men early in that time, but I was also reading Fantastic Four and Spider-Man and anything that was just in the spinner rack. So when the animated series came out, I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's, from the comic." I'm like there they are. And I was so excited, and so I just dove right into the show, and then it was my religion every Saturday. And I would force, my parents to record it onto our VCR so that I could watch them back as much as I would want to. And you would never believe the fit I would throw if my parents decided on a Saturday that I wasn't going to be home to watch it. Because then, like, that was before the days when you could set a recording or whatever, nothing on demand. Finch, how did we make it? How did we, how?
I don't know. I don't know, man. I try to explain to my kids that I'm like, no, like because eventually you got to a point where you had a VCR where you could set channel time and date.
Yes.
But 92 we didn't have that yet. And there were times where it's like, okay, like it comes on, let's say 10 a.m. We're leaving at 9 a.m. So if I put a tape in and start recording now, it'll record an hour of just BS and then but it will have enough length that I will eventually get to the episode of X-Men so I can watch it when I get home. And you'd have the tape with the masking tape on the end of it that said
Mm.
by VHS tapes win in things called VCRs, folks.
Which you can see behind me. Look at I went and got a combo TV VCR, and honestly, it's it's I don't know how to describe it because it had been so long since I had watched a VHS. And so when I got this last year. I got this for the Uncanny Experience because we have it in our game room and it plays, as you can see, it plays the animated series, or we have the movie. We also have Evolution on tape, and we have the Generation X pilot on VHS that we play in our game room. So, anyways, I bought this, and the very first time I pushed power and pushed the tape in and then let it go, it just like the flood of nostalgia and memories of VHS and VCR. It was insane. I was like, oh my gosh, look how grainy it is. You can't see because of the resolution, but it's like it's the tracking is a mess and the audio sounds different and everything. And I'm just like, oh, I love it. It's not perfect. It's not digital. It's just it is what it is. And anyways, I just, I'm so happy I bought this, and there's a big story behind this because it's the second one I bought. Because the first one, I was really excited about getting a combo TV VCR, and the VCR component was busted, and I was pissed. It was a Facebook Marketplace junk sale, basically. So this is my second one that I had to chase down, and they're either super expensive or rare or broken to get
Yeah,
a combo.
yeah. And if you want to like, yeah, go on Amazon and look up how much VCRs right now. It's an ungodly amount of money. Like
Is
I
it?
couldn't
Let's
like,
look it up. Let's look it up.
yeah,
We're doing this live.
let's do it.
VCR, VCR player. Yeah, I wouldn't even know how to buy a vintage one. $260 is the first one that came up for me. That's a lot for a VCR.
Yeah, yeah, it
That's not the
is.
combo either.
Right.
That's just the VCR machine. That's crazy.
Uh,
$280 for, oh my gosh, VHS and DVD combos. I remember that. Because
yeah,
then once your media starts mixing and you need both players, what an era.
I know.
I'm glad that I grew up in this time to see all this change. It's crazy.
Oh, I know. And I was looking at it just a few months ago because I was going through stuff in my basement and I found my big box of VHS tapes. And we're talking like the original Star Wars trilogy, like before the whole remaster thing happened. And like I had like the original Dune and Top Gun and all those. And I'm like, man, I'd love to get a VCR. And I think I had a bunch of home tapes of like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cartoon episodes.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I went to look like, oh, I wonder, I bet a VCR is dirt cheap. No, not on Amazon. That's for damn sure.
Marketplace. So I guarantee you, look on Facebook Marketplace. People are selling their, VCRs, their combo machines,
Hmm.
and you can get it for maybe $60, maybe 100, but don't pay 200 and change
Right.
for it. Yeah, no.
The funny thing is, last episode I did was with Julian Jetson. And we,
Yes.
we were legit talking about, he was talking about you and VCR and because the whole Generation X thing
Hmm.
at Uncanny. Because the bizarre thing is that thing like bleeped it like snuck by my radar when it came out. And it wasn't until I was doing a podcast with Michelle, I think like 2 years ago. She was like, "Oh, because we were talking about Bocello and Generation X and that awesomeness era." And she
Yeah.
was like, "Yeah, and they had a pilot TV show about that." I'm like, "Shut up." I thought she was straight up gaslighting me. She's like, "No, seriously, when we're done, go look it up on YouTube." And I was like, "Holy shit, they actually did. Oh my God." I don't know how that thing slipped through. I was telling Julian, he's like, "Oh yeah, like Chandler had it on VHS and we had it on Candy." And I'm like, "Oh man," and I missed it that time too.
Well, so have you watched it since? You can watch the
Yeah.
whole thing on YouTube. Yeah, yeah. That that was our first MCU, so to speak. That was our very first, I should say, X-Men thing that we got live action, and it's horrible, but it's an important piece of history, and it's one of those things where it's so bad that I watched it over and over and over again. I know the lines like. I watched it 30 years later and still could remember like these scenes and exactly how the movie works. And so it's just funny how it's all we had. There
Yes.
was nothing else to compare it to, and it was live action X-Men and Generation X at that. And for me, Generation X, of course, is my team because I was too young for New Mutants. And so Generation X is my youth team, and I love them. I love their Phalanx Covenant origin story and all that.
Oh yeah, that was like that was prime era because that was like when Joe Maduria was doing X-Men
Oh
and
yeah.
Bocello. We still have arguments over the pronunciation of his name, whether it's because I called him Bacalo for decades until somebody corrected me on it. And I'm like, that can't be right. Um,
I don't know.
yeah, I've been trying to get him on the podcast purely just to ask that question. It'll be like a 2 minute episode. Be like, how do you
Yes.
pronounce your name? And he'll say it. I'm like, okay, thank you, folks.
Hey,
Um,
you're free to go.
yeah, but
Right.
yeah, that you're absolutely right. That Phalanx government, and then it spun off into Generation X, and that first like foil cover they came out
Hmm.
with issue number one. I remember walking and like being so excited, like riding my bike to the comic book store that day it came out, and like there was like a beam of light coming through the heavens, like right onto that spot on the rack, and
Oh
there it
yeah.
was.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
have multiple copies. It's funny. I have my original. I have one that Scott Lobdell signed for me, and then I have one that somebody gifted me. So it's like they know that I love it and it's fun. And Generation X #1 is so I should back up a little bit, rewind. I'm a co-host of a podcast called X Reads Podcast, where me and my friend Chris recap classic issues of X-Men in the X-Men universe. And we did Generation X #1 with David Nakayama. And that was so fun because I had not read that comic in ages. And so to go back and reread it with David of all people was super fun. So I love that issue.
Yeah, I'll never forget there's the line in there where like oh my God, I can't believe how massively I'm brain farting right now. The Crystal Dude.
The Crystal Dude?
Yeah, you know the guys. Oh my God, really sharp fingers.
Oh, Penance, the
Yeah,
one. Yeah.
yeah, where he kind of like trashes part of it, part of the Boston Academy, and Emma makes a comment about how the walls are made of this, and even Wolverine on his best day would chip a claw. And Jubilee's like not likely. Like,
Right,
gotta defend my boy even when he's not here.
yeah.
That's cool. You're a Wolverine guy. How early in your lore did you latch on to him as a character?
Oh my God. Well, okay, so Wolverine, I've had a funny journey with Wolverine. He definitely was like my first gay crush. Like I was, and still to this day, I'm in love with him. He's my fictional boyfriend. I feel like I love everything about him. And so, obviously animated series. I was really attached to him. I really was, rooting for him because Cyclops was written so poorly that you just had to support Gambit or Wolverine. And I feel like you were either or. And then in the comic book world, I loved how he had these great relationships with Jubilee and Kitty Pryde and later Armor, and he just had this mentorship quality, and I just really appreciated it. And then I just, his I always say that he treats women well. It's funny. I don't know why. Like that is something about his character that really stands out. But I just feel like he treats them very well. Like obviously everybody makes mistakes, and he's left some high and dry and left some pregnant or whatever. But it's like, but I feel like it's from the story. I don't know every. minute of his history, and I've not read every page of that has been written about him. But the content that I've consumed make me just feel like he's a really stand-up guy and he's super cool. And obviously, he's a grump, and I think he's fun.
Yeah, I agree 100%. To me, he was just kind of like, yeah, and I don't know, like for me, and I understand this is coming from like my perspective, but I'm like, as a kid, I'm like, that's a man. That's a guy's guy. Like that's just a dude. Like he's just here to jack things up and not here for your BS. And I love every second of it. But yeah, that one was an always interesting aspect to his character, whether it was Kitty or Jubilee and later Armor. It was kind of like I part of me always wondered if the idea wasn't in his mind that also kind of helped keep him grounded. You know,
Absolutely.
you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah, I think they really benefited off each other, both the young female of choice and Wolverine. Oh, I think my episode's over. I'll have to be kind and rewind. Actually,
Yes.
we can put on another episode. Let's see. I just picked up this one at a vintage shop. It is Phoenix
Oh.
Saga Part 1 that I
Oh.
got. So let's see. Let's stop. Look at everybody. Guys, this is history. This is antique. I hit eject and then I take the tape
Look.
out.
Yes. Look at the tape in there.
And look at there's tape in there. It's not re it's actually I need to rewind it in order to watch it again. It won't start at the beginning. And this one is not rewound either, so I'm gonna have to put it in and rewind it. So let's go. This is the first time it's going in the machine. Pray that it doesn't jam it or anything. Oh my God. Now I'm nervous. Oh, nope, it doesn't
Oh,
like This
doesn't.
also happens, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes this happens. The tape, I just, as I'm taking it out of the box here, it's like split. So I feel like I need to
Oh
like
dear.
maybe tape it together. I don't have any actual physical
Oh.
tape,
Is
but
that is that the one that's got the plastic piece on it that was stolen from another tape in the shop? Is
what,
that
you know this
I
story?
know this story, yeah.
Oh, because Julian was.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, how do you know this?
I'm everywhere,
Oh my
Chandler.
God. Okay, we're gonna put on the Unstoppable Juggernaut
I'm
instead. We're gonna do that.
Juggernaut. What
Uh,
year
oh,
was that the Phoenix would they do that in season three?
yeah, that was season three. The
Yeah,
beginning of season three was that. It needs to rewind some. This is an exciting part of your show, by the way.
right.
This is this is
That's
the thrilling part.
anytime the Phoenix Saga comes up in the animated series, I have a laugh because I don't know if you remember they did that period in time where they were like running them prime time. They were running the episodes prime time too on like was it Saturday nights?
Oh,
They were doing new episodes of X-Men the animated
really?
series.
No,
Yeah.
it didn't register because I was a Saturday morning person, so I didn't realize it was prime time.
Yeah, they did some prime time, and my story about that is I remember I was 15 years old, and I was on my couch with my girlfriend, and my parents weren't home, and we were making out, and like an episode of X-Men the animated series had just finished, and afterwards, like the screen went black and like fire just like filled the
Oh,
thing.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
do you remember
yes.
that? Yeah.
I remember this promo.
Yeah, and I literally like sat up and like pushed my girlfriend off me and said, "Shut up. Shut
No.
up. They're
No.
doing Dark Phoenix." She was none too thrilled, but how many decades later I'm going to Uncanny with a wife who shaves her head for cosplay, for
Yeah.
X-Men cosplay. So I think I picked
Yes.
right on that one,
No,
but
you're good. You're good. You're good. Yeah, so I'm surrounded by obviously X-Men collectible stuff. I just had Cal Dodd sign this Toy Biz toy for me because these are the toys, of course, that I collected when the show was originally on the air. So these are like the X-Men to me. Of course, I collect Marvel Legends and all of the current toy stuff, but I purposely go back and find these vintage on card things and it says, to Chandler and it says Cal Dot Wolverine. But yeah, no, I mean that's my boyfriend right there.
I love that. And I love that that's the original. I've got behind me, I got to point to it right there. I've got a shadow box that's got the Wolverine and Jubilee action figures in the ones that came out that look like they were in VHS. cases.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
that
yeah.
those are signed by Cal Dodd and Allison Court that I got
Nice.
got at the first Uncanny that are framed there in the shadow box. And
Oh,
the
sweet.
the thing that cracks me up the most about it is because of the color of it, like Cal Dodd signed it with like a silver pen.
Oh,
He did it
yeah,
with
totally.
silver, and then afterwards, like his wife was blowing on it, and she's like, "I'm not sure if this is dry or not." And she just like tapped it and left a fingerprint, and she was like horrified. And to me, it's part of the memory. Like
Of
I love
course.
seeing it there. Like that's not something I'm gonna sell. I mean, that's there purely just for like my own
Yeah.
nostalgic purposes, you know?
Yeah, 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 for sure. Yeah, there's Rogue above him, and then you can't see, but Storm and Beast, and then C2E2, as we said, is this weekend. Dylan is going down. He's gonna be working with all the X-Men at the Unknown Comics booth, and I sent my Nightcrawler figure to be signed by Adrian
Oh
because I
yeah.
feel like because of our involvement with the cast and Kathy also coming to Uncanny Experience, it's like we get access to them a lot. But Adrian is kind of a wild card. He sometimes pops up and sometimes he bamfs in and bamfs out, you know?
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly. There are a couple times I've been doing lives and he's like popped in for a few and said like hey or something and then
And then
gone.
poof.
Yeah. That's really cool. He signed Sean sent me a picture of because there's one of the cards from like the X-Men 97 that's got that scene where him and Wolverine are fighting the Sentinels. The yeah, and of course the cameraman is there getting jacked
Hmm.
and Adrian signed it, sorry about your head, Adrian. You know.
Oh
Such
my gosh.
Such a good guy. Yeah, me and Adam and Sean, we've got something cooked up for Uncanny cosplay wise. But I'm
Ooh,
like sworn to secrecy on it. I'm not allowed because I've already been told I told too many people. You may know because I
I may
told
know.
Dylan,
I
and the
may
problem is,
know.
is you can't can tell Dylan anything. I love that man. You can't. That guy cannot hold a secret to keep his
No, of
life.
course not. He's a gossip. Any information he could leverage, he does. So yes, be wary, listeners.
Right.
Don't tell your secrets to Dylan Carter.
Yeah, my wife almost murdered me last year because I thought Dylan and I were having an exchange of juicy tea, only to realize that like he was sinking like the Titanic on that one and was just spilling it out
Hmm.
everywhere. But yeah, so here's the question. I know there's only so much you can say. Coming with Uncanny coming. Are there more guests yet to be announced, or is your roster full at this point?
The roster is done. We will be announcing one more just last minute edition of Alex Segura, who is a novelist and he does a lot of Marvel Unlimited comics and whatnot. But like yeah, our main guest roster is complete. There's no Claremont this year, which I know people are disappointed in. He wasn't available, unfortunately. As we were bumped. We did not check his schedule. And so we're like, well, he did 2 years in a row, so it's okay to have a year off. We'll definitely invite him back and, in the future. But, we're also having our sights set for other guests, on our wish list, which I'm not confirming that we can get these people, but Jim Lee and Mark Silvestri would be fantastic.
Oh my
We really want
God.
Larry Hama to come in. Yeah, so we're always working on trying to find the folks. I know Ann Nesenti really wants to be a guest, so we'll try to make that happen. And Fabian Nicieza, who is a pal because he's been on my podcast twice, and he's just been like generally very communicative. He's not coming, and he's hilarious. He's like, "Hey, Chandler, you're great. It's so fun. I love seeing you at New York Comic Con, blah, blah, blah. But I don't want to spend a weekend in a house with X-Men fans." He's like, that does not sound like a good time. I was
Oh
just
God,
like,
come
I was like,
on.
no. I was like, they love you. He's like, I just, he's like, I'm over 60 and that's not what I want in my life. And I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
You can control the decisions you make and how you spend
Yeah.
your time. But yeah, I was like, just please. And I was like, come even one day. I was like, people would just love it. I was like, we'll fly you in and fly you back first class, whatever you want.
Hmm.
So hopefully we get Fabian in because he's fantastic. We have him to thank for why the metal got pulled out of, Wolverine. He's got so many cool stories, co-creator of Deadpool, of course. So
And
there's a
I,
lot.
I dare I say the man who is responsible for the soul of Deadpool. Like as
Yes,
far as I'm concerned, like when it comes to writing and characterization, he's the guy. Like he's the guy who
absolutely.
made Deadpool the Deadpool that we know and love.
Yes, a combination of him and Gail Simone really brought out a lot of his quippiness. But no, there was I can't remember the writer that took over. There, it's not Fabian. There was another writer, and I'm sure your listeners can, drop a comment when they know. But there is another writer that was after Fabian that is credited for really fleshing out Deadpool.
Mhm.
Um, but anyways, yeah. Fabian,
Yeah.
please come to the show.
Yes, please. And oh my God, if you got Jim Lee, I can't even tell you. Like,
Yeah.
I
It's like, is there anyone better? Like, I
right.
can't. I tried. I really pitched him hard because, he's really hard to grasp. He's impossible to reach. You can't get an email. You can't find an agent. You can't, it's like he's the head of creative at DC Comics. It's like he's such a busy guy. But he did a signing in Los Angeles when I was in town, and it was you had bought a ticket for $10, and it was guaranteed that you'd be one of 100 to go. And I was like, I'm doing it. I was like, that's the only way I know that I'm gonna for sure be in line. It's gonna be 2 hours max, go through 100 people. I was like, I can do this. And so I bought the ticket, I stood in line, and then I chatted with him and I handed him our little pamphlet. We have this trifold pamphlet of the Uncanny Experience. And he's like, what is this? And I said, this is our mutant school, the Uncanny Experience. I was like, we invite you. You come out and have a weekend at Xavier's. And he's like opening it up. And he's like, oh, Chris and Gail were there. And he's like, wow, this looks great. He's like, wow, I really want to go to this. I was like, you can come. So he absolutely could come to the event. So I was like, our contact information is on there. I was like, come on, let's do it. So he was very positive, obviously, in the moment. So we'll see if he follows through.
God, I hope so. I can't even imagine like the amount of times like being like, 14, 15, 16, but I would just sit in my bedroom with drawing pad and pencil, just like emulating his style, like the
Mm-hmm.
cross hatching and everything. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that was that. I mean, he was the guy, Granted, I came into X-Men comics in '89, but it was that like X-Men Volume 2, #1 that really like kicked off the whole new
Of
era.
course. Yeah.
And visually speaking, I mean, still some of my favorite X-Men covers have been Jim Lee covers, like to this day.
Well, and obviously the redesign of Cyclops and Jean and Rogue, all of it has remained iconic and to this day what they are known for.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
especially with Rogue, that was a drastic change. Like
huge
going,
change for her.
yeah, and yet it just like nailed it, like just landed it perfectly. Like, oh yeah, just throw a bomber jacket on her. Oh, okay, like,
Right.
and which was so '90s, but it's so to this day it's iconic. You have to keep it.
Yeah, yeah. And I can't remember if he did Jubilee's revamped look. She definitely didn't look at like that when Mark Silvestri created her, but I think he drew a promo of her in the jacket, but I think it was green. I can't remember now. Anyways, sorry. My lore, it's fading. It's fading.
Everybody listening to this, get like write your senator, write your representative about a great many things, but include in there Jim Lee to Uncanny Experience. Like,
Right,
please.
exactly, exactly. The country might be falling apart, but your representative of the state could somehow reach Jim Lee, I'm sure.
Right, yeah, to find a way. So you are you're a big Marvel Rivals guy like
I am.
myself, yeah.
I am.
And are you? I got this right. You're a Sue Storm main like me, right?
Yes, my three mains as far as across the disciplines are Sue, Namor, and Doctor Strange, or Thor. It just depends on my mood.
Right. Yeah, I can understand that. I feel that. And I think a lot of it depends upon what the whatever roster comes up with when I'm on playing. I
Yeah.
prefer to play as Sue, but if like somebody's already got Sue or we just, you end up in those weird situations where there's three healers on the team. And it's like you're gonna get bodied. Like we don't need three healers. Yeah, I started off at Psylocke, and
Mm.
as a duelist, and I like her. Then played Sue. I've gotten this is weird. I don't know. I've gotten fairly proficient at Punisher.
Ah.
There's something about Punisher that always gives me ick, not the character, but unfortunately what that like iconography represents to certain collections of idiots in this
Yeah.
country
Right.
that like somehow transfers to because I don't know if you've ever seen those like TikToks for like what your Marvel Rival's main says about you.
Sometimes, yeah, I've
Yeah,
seen a
and it's
number
like,
of them. Yeah.
yeah, if you're playing as like basically Punisher or like Thor, you're just a maggot nut in a giant pickup truck belching black smoke down the road.
Ooh.
Which to a degree I understand, but on the other hand, that doesn't mean I hate them as a character. You know what I mean?
No, Frank
Um,
Castle's cool.
yeah, and Frank Castle wouldn't stand for the BS that he's used to represent, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
irony that I think is lost on I think far too many people.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's okay that you're good with Punisher. I'm not. I'm very bad. I'm a bad aim. I'm a bad shot. I gotta say, at least, I'm okay with some characters. That everybody's got a different delay to their projectile, and you have to kind of, whatever, get familiar with it. I will say, if anybody is watching, listening, whatever this format is, and you want to be better at Marvel Rivals, follow a YouTuber named The Gaming Merchant. And he is well, among many things, he's a Rivals kind of like expert, and he has created custom reticles for every character. And I changed my reticle for certain characters and it completely changed my game, like Doctor Strange especially, because we're just having this small kind of my custom is just a small little like cross, that's green. But the Doctor Strange one, it's like a wider, more opaque circle. And what it is the expanse of it is the spray of his darts as they spiral towards the character. And so you can see where the edge of the circle, if it hits the character while they're moving and your circle is ahead of them, you'll hit them because, the way that the projectiles work. Anyways, once I got that done, I was much better. And I was like, oh, this
Hmm.
is great. I'm also a console player, so I'm a little, little old and funky on my PS5. I can't PC it. I just can't.
I'm the same way. I'm a console guy. I don't have a lot of patience for the pretentious keyboard people. Like pick up a controller like a real gamer. Knock
I
it
know, I
off.
know. Well, we come with decades of experience,
Right, yeah, we
you
started
know.
off like younger than the Super Nintendo behind you.
Exactly, I know.
That's Are you excited for Krakoa coming to
Oh
Marvel
my God,
Rivals?
it's tomorrow.
I know.
I can't I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm so excited. We're getting Emma, and as we know, Jean is coming, and we get Krakoa map. It's and what's crazy is I bet so many new players are going to come into it because of all the Emma promos because she looks fantastic, and yeah,
She looks fantastic. Like
fantastic.
those
Yes.
devs know what they're doing. Let's not fart around. Yeah, and that'll be interesting though, because I guarantee it was kind of like when they dropped the Fantastic Four. Like for the first like 4 or 5 weeks, every game is going to have an Emma in it because
Oh,
everybody's going to be trying it out.
everyone's going to
Like,
be fighting for her.
right, yeah, yeah. I kind of feel like she's one of those I need to go into the practice range for a while so you get a feel for the character first before I pump myself into competitive that way. Because you're probably the same way. Like on Marvel Rivals, you go through the win streaks and then you go through the ridiculous losing streaks, right?
Oh yeah, of course. I'm not a big competitive player. I just played myself up to platinum, and I will say it was almost impossible to get out of bronze. Like it took me forever to get out of bronze. And then I was climbing kind of, peaks and valleys going up, but like bronze it was like plateau for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I just was like, "Oh, god damn this competition mode." So I play a lot of quick play because I get too invested with competition. Like I get sweary, I yell like it's a sporting match. And when I'm just playing quick play, I'm like, this is fun. This is great. Like so I'm like, I just need to focus.
Yeah, yeah.
Just have a good time.
Yeah, when I'm playing, ask my wife. That's the way I am. Where I'm like, I hate this game. Okay, one more round.
I
You
know.
know.
Exactly. I gotta be punished one more time.
Right. Yeah. Well,
Oh, God.
have you heard about that crazy like bot theory with competitive?
Well, yes, I've heard about that, but I will say the algorithm of the game, I've tested this over and over and over again. If you lose two or more times in a row, you gotta shut off the game, 30 minutes or more, you come back in, and your next game you'll likely win because they see that you exited the game or turn off your system. You like if you just like completely black out back out, they're like, "Oh, this person does not like the game when he loses." Whereas the opposite, if you just play through and you keep playing and you lose, they'll be like, "Oh, this player likes to play regardless, so we'll just put him on a losing team because they're still playing and they're having a good time." But they try to rebalance you. So the method is you go in, you do quick play, you got to win twice in a row, and then you go into competition, and you should be sorted into a better team.
Oh, good. I'm gonna give that a shot because I've been in this like platinum between Platinum 1 and Platinum 3 sliding back and forth for like 3 weeks now. Like I get
Mm.
on a really good hot streak and I get up to like, Platinum 1 and then I go on like a 5, 6 game losing streak and drop all the way down to like lower twos, upper threes. And it's like, oh, so I'm gonna start doing that. Yeah. Probably be good for my blood pressure too, I'd
Yeah,
imagine.
yeah, yeah. You feel like you're a little bit more control, I guess, because it's just one of those things where I've noticed that it works. It's not like pure science where it always is like, you're up to five strangers making the team whole. And sometimes I'm the weakest link. And so I'm not an expert by any means. So I will say this is the very first 6-on-6 or any type of shooter game I've ever played in my life. Like, never played Overwatch, Valorant, any of those, Fortnite. I've never
Uh,
played any of these
okay.
games. And so Marvel Rivals got me into it. And so I feel like I'm coming at it like the newbiest of noobs because I am essentially 3 months old in the world of this game. But I will say that I'm up to platinum. So, I'm proud of myself for getting that far.
Yeah, you got it down. I was a huge Overwatch person. Like
Mm.
I love playing that, and I say it lovingly. Like Marvel Rivals is an Overwatch ripoff. It's great.
Yes,
It's a great
everybody has
game.
said this. Yeah.
Like I'm not saying like, oh, you just ripped out. Like, no, you did it, and you did it with Marvel characters, and you improved on the things that Overwatch wasn't good at. So, like, hats off to you. Yeah, I've also got the endless hours of playing like Halo 3 till 5 a.m. PvP
Yeah.
back in the day,
Yeah.
like we all had to post college. Yeah, that's that there's several I feel like yeah, we'll start here. So if you could name off some characters that you would love for them to add to Marvel Rivals, what would you have?
That's a good question. And not that I haven't thought about this before, but I want to answer it like thoughtfully. So, because in terms of gameplay, I would really love to see a Medusa tank. I think she would be so cool, and they could basically replicate Venom's tentacle kind of method as far as the puncture of her hair. And there's just so many cool things. Her hair can shield. I just think it would be so cool to have Medusa as a tank. I would love Kitty Pride, only mainly because I love the character, but a Kitty Pride strategist with phase ability to go through any wall. Obviously temporarily, because that's, all their powers are temporary, but it's like it just would be such a cool escape, and it would be a great way to surprise on somebody. And I just think, and if she had like a little Lockheed, additional ammo shooter or whatever, like I just think it would be so. I think her play style would be really fun, and you could puzzle together some cool maneuvers. Um, and let's see. I mean, I would love to have Colossus in the game. We could get a true fastball special.
Yes.
Um, Jubilee would be fun. I know she's rumored. Just would be cute to have her. Man, obviously Cyclops. I don't know. I could go on. I could go on. Sabretooth.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it on.
Sabretooth would be an awesome tank. He'd be a fun character
Hmm.
to have as a tank. Yeah, I think Cyclops would be great because I just want to like, do the pew pew from the eyes and then have an ultimate where it's just like, just like leaves a
Yeah.
swath of destruction across the map. That'd be
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah, soft serve. I'm still simping for
Ah!
soft serve on this one.
Bob Quinn. Gotta thank Bob Quinn for making soft serve a thing. So,
Yeah, either soft serve or strong guy. Strong guys like I don't that's like the bit that's the only I think only bone I have to pick with Uncanny Experience is that we didn't get a house strong guy. or a House Gold Balls. Those were the two I was holding out for. But
Right,
you know,
exactly.
I don't
They
make
did.
these decisions.
I know, no.
Fantastic. I think we talked a little bit. You're like kind of like me, like slightly. I'm like a week or two behind, I think, on the current X books. But all the current X titles, which ones are you enjoying the most?
I was enjoying NYX actually, and that got canceled unfortunately early. But though that writing duo is then now on the new Giant Size relaunch, Giant Size X-Men, Giant Size Age of Apocalypse, Giant Size whatever, all of that. Dark Phoenix. I met them at WonderCon and was able to chat with them a little bit. And so Colin and Jackson, they were super cool. Um, I also like Psylocke. I think that's a good series. And of course, Uncanny X-Men by Gil Simone. I like it. My main gripe with it is that I don't understand why Rogue is called Moonbeam. I can't figure it out. I was like, when has Wolverine or Gambit or anybody ever called her Moonbeam? And why is it all of a sudden like very familiar and like so I was like, where did that come from?
Yeah. Yeah, I wondered that because I wondered like when I first read it, my ears kind of perked like, is that something I missed in canon somewhere along the way? Because I don't ever recall her being referred to as Moonbeam, but okay, I guess we're running with it.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
so um and I do like Jed McKay's X-Men actually very much. I'm behind on it, but it was a rough start for me. Maybe the first three issues I was not into it, and then it flipped, and then I really liked it. I do like the Magic series because I love magic as an element and a character. So, and the thing that Ashley Allen is doing with Ileana is bringing out her sorceress side, which is something that I feel like a lot of writers just write around because they just make her a bruiser. And the thing I hate the most about current day writers is that they make her sword a physical sword when it's supposed to be her soul sword and it's not supposed to work on, physical properties. It was supposed to work on magical properties. It's like if you try to stab a wall with that sword, it's not going to work. You have to, it's just like that's the way the structure of that sword is. And all of a sudden in modern day, it's just a big club that she swings around. And I'm like,
Like in Marvel
anyways,
Rivals.
Ashley, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, just like in Marvel Rivals. But Ashley is kind of bringing it back a little bit.
hmm I love that series. I love that series so much. Because I feel like Magic was one of those characters who for a long time was there in stories as a writing tool, like when they needed a kind of like Forge, when they
Yeah.
needed a character who could do this. But in terms of like getting her own like quote unquote screen time, her own like personal time to like explore her character, we haven't had a lot of that in a long time.
Right.
And yeah, and so for her to get the solo series is really great. The weird thing about NYX, I think NYX was one of my favorite ones of the From the Ashes. Like definitely like right up there with Uncanny. Like those were my two absolute favorites. And it was so bizarre to me because anytime I'd be talking to people who are reading X-Men books, and they'd be like, "Oh my God," and I'd say, NYX is just fucking amazing. And they'd almost get confused. They're like, "NYX, really? God, I hadn't even picked that up. I just assumed it was crap." And I'm like, "Why?
No,
Like historically, NYX has always been good. Like, why
it's
would you pass on that?" And so
yeah.
yeah, I was in like depression the day I heard it was being canceled because I'm like, oh God,
No.
it's so good though, you
It's
know?
great. It's fun. Mojo, like it's just I loved NYX and I love the original. Oh my God, speaking of, where is she? Oh, she might not be next to me. I have my some I thought it was next to me. My first appearance of X-23, Laura Kinney. I have the original issue and I have it graded. And I thought it was down by my side here, but it's not.
Yeah. Oh.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
Yes.
This was this is treasure because
Oh,
I'm a giant. Like being a huge Wolverine fan, it was sort of like Laura just had to come in. And the current Laura Kinney book, like right now, is just it is baller. Like if anybody's not
Oh,
reading it, go pick it up because it
and
is
speaking
good.
of, yeah, speaking of X-23 and that book, it's written by Erica Schultz. And Erica Schultz, to me, is like the key Laura Kinney writer. She's so good at her voice. She did the X-23 Deadly Genesis miniseries before. She's been a guest on my podcast, and she's wonderful. She really, really, and she also is like an angry woman. Like she just, you get the sense that she understands the inner rage.
Right.
And she just, she just takes no shit. She just is like, Erica's great. So, anyways, reading the series, meeting her, and then kind of putting the glue together where I was like, oh my gosh, no wonder why it's written so well.
Yeah, and we're in the same boat because she was on my pod too. And also I had Captain Britt come co-host that moment because she's a huge Elektra Daredevil fan. Which Erica
Ah,
Schultz has
yeah,
a deep background in. Of course, having those two characters come together in the Laura Kinney book and listening to her talk about, the interactions of those characters. And I love that about Laura Kinney. I mean, ever since she's first shown up, she's gone through such like a character arc that it's been so much fun to read. Yeah, yeah, that one. I think the biggest problem going back to the Ryan Stegman X-Men one was just the fact that I think it was compared to Uncanny too much when it first came out
mm,
because Gale's was like good from page one. And
mm,
like right off the bat, everybody was trying to compare that to it. And yeah, Stegman's X-Men, it was good. It like the same thing. I felt like it took a couple issues to really start to gain traction and go places. I felt like the raid on Gray Malkin. I kind of feel like I don't know if you read that one.
I did.
I kind of feel like we could have done without it. Like nothing gratuitous came out of it, and it just messed up the cadence of the books.
Yeah,
Like
so unnecessary.
yeah, I kind of felt like I really wish like Gail would have just been able to just keep writing her book on the trajectory she wanted to without him. Like, oh, by the way, for two issues, you need to, you know, befuddle this one up. But cool. Well, we're getting close to the end, but so we got to talk about Uncanny again experience before we ship out.
Let's do
Um,
it.
I've talked about it a ton on the podcast. I will not stop talking about it on the podcast. Guys, it is not a convention. It is a family reunion of people you didn't know you were related to.
Oh,
Got to get there. Tickets are available on candyexperience.com. Are there still VIP tickets available?
there are, yes. Yeah, in fact, we have, I think, one Omega ticket left, and we have a handful of VIPs, and then, of course, general admission, after party tickets, etc. We have kids tickets if you want to bring kids 10 and under or 12 and under. I can't remember the age now. And yeah, it's your ticket is a 2 day pass. So if you see the price tag, know that you get 2 days worth of entertainment and fun. And yeah, it's going to be great. The thing that I love about this event, and I'll never forget year one and now into year two, is that the sense of people feeling like that they're home or that there's like that there's something about the building that they love so much and or just the community too. I mean, we could all honestly all get together as X-Men fans in another building and still, and still love it. But it's just, from the outset, you walk up to the Minneapolis Club and you're like, wow, I'm here. This is great. And I love the homecoming aspect of coming back to the same building so that people can, form their memories and then, it's like going to school all over again. That's the whole point is that, you go to school and you just keep going back to the same building.
Right. Yeah, and around every corner there's a surprise. Between the
Hmm.
panels, the classes, the cosplay contests, the vendors, the special guests. I mean, you look around and there's randomly something going on out on the lawn. It's just I cannot stress enough how phenomenal it is. It is such a great experience. One could argue it's uncanny. Um,
Indeed.
dad joke of the pod. But yeah, I first of all, like I want to thank you and Chris and Dylan for putting it on because it is a like we're of the same age, like being a lifelong X-Men fan. Like I remember
Yeah.
the first time I walked into the very first Uncanny Experience, and it was like 12-year-old me was doing somersaults. Like it was
Oh,
just the
good.
inner child was just like screaming and clapping and just like, oh my God. And at the time it was like Cal Dodd is here and Chris Claremont's here and oh my God. And yeah, and that was one cool thing we did see from year two, from year one is a lot more youngsters, especially when we got into Sunday. And I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah, yeah, more kids are coming. It's great. I love that people are excited, and I joke every time that I wish I could just go to this event. Like it's a joy to put on and produce. Believe me, we love it. But like sometimes it just sounds so fun that I was like, oh God, I want to just experience it. I just want to like buy a ticket and go and not have to do all of the logistics and just like be wowed and be surprised and just kind of go with the feeling, this coming year for people that have been returning that's going to be new is we have a guidance counselor office where you can be interviewed for what X team you'll be assigned to, and then you get a little ID card. And then we have an assignment board. And so if you do various tasks that are on the quest board, basically, which we'll, if you're an RPG person. So just there's going to be an assignment board with all of these various tasks you can do to earn, stickers and goodies and all sorts of stuff and, whatever, gold stars, if you will. But yeah, we're adding new stuff all the time. We'll be having our drag show again for the after party. Hellfire Club will return Saturday night, of course. We'll be doing pep rallies once more. So it's going to be another great weekend, but year two, it was a good model. So we're trying to make that magic repeat again.
I have no doubt you will. So, folks, you know what to do. If you haven't already gotten your tickets, get over to uncannyexperience.com, get your tickets, come hang out with us, man. Like we want to have you. That is, and I do feel you, like between you and Chris and Dylan, as much as I love you guys and I love seeing you, it's like you come up to Uncanny Experience and you guys are like literally three versions of Kitty Pryde, just like disappearing into walls and
Yeah,
zip through and out the other side because you guys got so much stuff going on. But your work pays off because everybody who goes has such a fantastic time. You see every 2 years now, right? Like after Uncanny Experience, there's like a week of tears of joy on Instagram
I
afterwards where we
know,
all
I
like miss
know.
it and we love it. And oh my God, I can't wait till the next one. And now this year we're getting spoiled because we don't have to wait a full 12 months till the next one because we're
That's
bumping up from
true.
September to July. But yeah, yeah, Chandler, I can't thank you enough for coming on the pod. This is one of my favorite subjects is talking about Uncanny. So I'm glad you gave me an excuse to basically ramble about it with you for this entire time. But we're gonna
Awesome.
get out of here, folks. Thank you so much for listening. If you're not already following Chandler on all the socials, Instagram, you're on Blue Sky, right?
Yeah, yeah. You
You,
can follow me personally. It's never five get. That's never the number five get, so you don't five get it. And if you want to follow the Uncanny Experience on any social platform, you can find the Uncanny EXP.
there you go, folks. So I hope you head on over, get your tickets. I hope you get to come hang out with us. And once again, thank you, Chandler. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff that makes this whole machine run. And we will talk to you all another time.